It started as a normal Friday evening. I had planned a quiet dinner at home, hoping to reconnect with my wife after another grueling week at work. The table was set with care, her favorite pasta, a bottle of wine, soft music playing in the background. I wanted this night to feel like the beginning of us again, a pause from the stress, the bills, the exhaustion. She arrived late, as usual, flustered and dismissive. I tried to mask my irritation, offering a gentle smile. "I made your favorite," I said. "Thought we could enjoy it together." Her eyes flicked to the table, then back to her phone. That's nice," she muttered, scrolling. I hesitated but chose to ignore it. After all, we all get distracted sometimes. Halfway through the meal, my phone buzzed. I looked down, expecting a work notification or a message from a friend. But the sender made my stomach drop. It was her lover, someone I hadn't even met, yet whose presence had begun to feel impossibly real. The message read, "Your husband is a fool. Enjoy the lies." I froze, fork halfway to my mouth, wine glass trembling in my hand. Heat and disbelief collided inside me, a storm I couldn't suppress. My wife glanced up, caught my expression, and smirked, a cold, calculating smirk that made my chest tighten. "Who's that?" I asked quietly, trying to maintain some composure. She shrugged. "Oh, just someone from work." "Why?" I swallowed hard. The message wasn't vague, it wasn't misdirected. It was intentional. I could feel the betrayal in the air, thick and suffocating. My mind raced, and yet, somehow, I felt an unexpected calm. I set my fork down. "Do you know what this is?" I asked, voice steady. "This isn't just a random message. This is proof. Proof of what's been happening behind my back." She laughed lightly, brushing her hair back, pretending to be unconcerned. "Proof? You're overreacting. Don't be dramatic." I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I reached for my phone, screenshotting the message, saving every notification, every text, every breadcrumb of betrayal she had unknowingly left behind. Grandma's words echoed in my head. "Anger is loud, but preparation is louder. Always collect the evidence, always wait." I calmly finished my meal, each bite a calculated act of patience. She noticed my quiet demeanor and frowned. "What's wrong with you?" she asked, the smirk fading, replaced by a flicker of unease. "Nothing," I said softly. "Just thinking about how much honesty is worth in a marriage." After dinner, while she flitted around cleaning her plate and checking her phone again, I began the process I had been planning for months without her knowledge. Every indiscretion she had committed, the late nights, the secret calls, the suspicious disappearances, had been documented. I had messages, photos, receipts, and even her online activity timestamps. This night, this single text, had become the tipping point. It was the final piece, the undeniable confirmation of everything I had feared but couldn't prove. I waited. I didn't confront her immediately. I allowed her to relax, to believe that nothing had changed. Then, the next morning, I sent carefully crafted messages to everyone who mattered. Mutual friends, family members, even some of her colleagues who had begun to notice discrepancies in her stories. Every message was precise, factual, undeniable. I didn't embellish. I let the truth speak for itself. Within 24 hours, whispers began to spread. Friends called, family reached out with concern, and the narrative she had tried to control began to crumble. She tried to explain herself, deflecting blame, pretending the texts were nothing. But no one bought it. The evidence was too clear, too meticulous. I didn't shout. I didn't plead. I simply stepped back and watched the consequences unfold. Her lover, once confident, began to distance himself once he realized the attention had shifted and the truth was out. Friends she had counted on to stay loyal quietly began siding with me, or at least questioning her motives. Even her co-workers started treating her differently, recognizing that deceit could have real ramifications. I focused on my life, reclaiming every ounce of respect, dignity, and control that she had tried to undermine. I signed a new project at work that had previously been stalled due to her manipulations. I reconnected with friends she had alienated me from, and I began rebuilding my social circle, my emotional stability, my life. Weeks later, she attempted to approach me, tentatively, unsurely. I just want to talk, she said, voice wavering. I looked at her calmly, my eyes steady. There's nothing to talk about. The truth is already out, and the consequences are yours to face. She stared, as though seeing me for the first time, not the husband she had ridiculed, not the fool she had mocked, but a man who had survived betrayal, documented deceit, and allowed justice to unfold quietly, powerfully. I didn't need revenge in the form she expected. I didn't need to yell, confront, or humiliate her publicly. Her own actions had done that. The proof had spoken, the network of friends and family had responded, and she was left with nothing but the realization of her choices. Months later, I reflected on that dinner. The text from her lover, intended to wound, had become the catalyst for my liberation. It had forced me to act, to prepare, to reclaim control of my life. I had turned humiliation into empowerment, betrayal into strategy, and a simple message of cruelty into the evidence of my strength. I now live with clarity and purpose. My marriage ended, yes, but not in chaos or despair. It ended in revelation, in justice, and in the quiet triumph of a man who refused to be broken. She walks a path of her own making, one that I no longer share, and I have built a life untouched by her lies. And every time I remember that message, that single cruel text, "Your husband is a fool," I smile. Because in the end, it wasn't me who lost. It was her, and the world saw the truth, loud and undeniable, while I reclaimed everything she tried to steal. The best revenge, I realized, isn't confrontation. It's preparation, patience, and letting truth take its course. And that night, she thought she had power. But I had it all along.